Hark! It's an 87th Precinct podcast bonus episode. This is the bonus episode for our look at book number 45 in the series, which was Mischief, which was basically everything and the kitchen sink in there as well. It's, well, you'll have listened to the main episode. It's a lot of stuff going on. So, as usual, we'll use this time to have a look at how the artists involved chose to reflect that on the cover. But just before we do that, I'll just give you a rundown on the publishing information of this book, because I didn't do it in the main thing, so it's more relevant here. So, in America, the books have been published for a little while by William Morrow and Avon in hardback and paperback. This is the last of the William Morrow and Avon books. Okay, so this is the last time we've got one from William Morrow and Avon in the US. Whereas in the UK, the books are now being published by Hodder and Stoughton in hardback and Coronet in paperback. Coronet just being part of the Hodder group, I think. Mm-hmm. And bizarrely, this is one of the few books that's still not available as an ebook if you're one of the people buying them in digital format. So this doesn't come out in the new Amazon editions at all. For what reason, I don't know. I was told that basically it's down to they get the rights as and when they can. So maybe because there's changes in publishers or something, I don't know at this point. But yeah, this is one you can't get as an ebook to this day, whereas so many of the rest you can.
Mysterious.
Mysterious indeed. But let us go into the world of the original artwork to kick off with the US editions like we normally do. And Steve-O, do you want to start with the very first of the book covers, which is the American hardback, sorry.
Oh, right, okay. Well, it's, God knows what it is. I think it's like a representation of a wall, is it, in grey and black?
I think so, yeah.
With a single red spray paint blob that's running red like blood. That just says Ed McBain, Mischief, in white text. So not that exciting, really.
Yeah, I get the concept behind that. It's simple enough, isn't it? And the next one down is the US paperback, if you want to take that one, Morgan, because this is a bit different.
Yeah, it is, actually, yeah. So it's just sort of Ed McBain in a kind of turquoise colour, Mischief in some kind of sort of hot pink, and a sort of looming cityscape rendered in a kind of, I want to say, like maybe slightly Art Deco style, possibly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's quite attractive. It doesn't appear to have anything whatsoever to do with the book, but it's set in a city. So
yeah, it's got a full moon with the words "The Deaf Man Returns" written in it.
It has got that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what it is. It is like, do you know when they that Batman animated started, which must have been around 1993, I think. And that had this sort of brilliant look of the sort of like the Age of Speed type designs.
Yes, yeah.
This has sort of got that, but also like it's crossed with a sort of Mr. Soft, Bendy, strange thing. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one.
Sort of Art Deco Gotham City through a fisheye lens kind of thing.
Yeah, that might be the title of this episode. I'll describe the UK hardback edition, which is essentially the same as the American one. Just I've got a dreadful copy of it. I could only find a really dreadful copy, which is again the red splodge of paint running as if it's blood. And then the UK paperback, which is the one that I've got. I suspect that might be the ones that you guys have got.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Which is a similar thing, but the splodge of paint on the wall is smaller. Mischief is written as if it's been spray painted on there, which at least makes more sense.
Yeah.
And we have McBain once again in a sort of gold, shiny gold that it hasn't been in for a little while since those gold lettered pan editions, really. Yeah. Not the most thrilling set of covers, but
not really.
Yeah, not the worst.
No.
Yeah, there's not much to say about them, really. So.
No, there isn't.
Quite like that US paperback, although, as we say, it doesn't necessarily bear much relation to the content of the book.
Quite like in the Italian one, though.
Well, this is why I've put in these a couple of international editions. So do you want to describe the Italian one, the Il Giallo Mondadori one, Steve-o?
Miss Fatty. Yeah, it's just a spray painter being blasted with a blast of a gun.
Yeah.
In a hand that's coming out the side of the image. Very violent. Although all the crimes happen at night, and that's clearly in the middle of the day. So
Yeah.
Or under a really, really powerful street lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is definitely where you wouldn't go if you were trying to get away with doing your graffitiing. But yeah, as we discussed, because we looked at the one for Kiss as well, didn't we? And it's like they literally just take a scene. They at least read some of the book.
Mm-hmm.
We suspect it might still be the first 3 pages tops, but
Yeah.
and now I'll give you the chance to have a look at the Japanese one, Morgan, which we haven't discussed any Japanese ones before.
So. It's rather beautiful. It's just a sort of abstraction in blue, really, I guess, mainly.
Yeah.
Sort of bold brushstrokes in oils. A bit of an 8-7 in the middle there somewhere. Doesn't necessarily tell you anything about the book, but it's quite pretty.
Yeah, well, a lot of those Hayakawa mystery editions that I have seen, and I've not seen all of them, but I've managed to track down a few to look at the covers of. They're all done in these sort of weird abstract oils.
Yeah.
And they're really intriguing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think if you're gonna do something, why not do something interesting?
Yeah.
So
I quite agree.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I'll try and see if I can find more as we go through the last few anyway. And I might try and post some of the older ones as well. But yeah, that's really fascinating. It's my favourite out of all the ones there anyway.
Yeah, it's great.
And but you've got to love the Italian ones as well for sticking to the giallo yellow cover things. That
Yeah,
they've been
they're
on.
pretty cool, kind of like pulpy kind of style, isn't it? It's great.
Yeah. So we've ascertained that we've all got the UK paperback. I'm going to assume that we've all got... Mine is the new 87th Precinct bestseller, so it is a first edition paperback.
Mine too.
Yeah, first printing as well, mine. So
I think mine is too.
Steve-o?
$5.99.
Mine was originally $5.99, yep.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Right, well, there we go. There's not much to say about that. Well, I'm going to stick my nose in and have the first sniff.
Well, I did this in the week, and I've felt a bit peculiar after.
Oh, right, okay. No, mine's quite nice. Peculiar again.
Incredibly musty mine. I'm not doing a big one.
Let's have a go. Not much from mine at all. I do have a very poor sense of smell, as we know, but surprisingly, bland.
Fair enough. So we've run the gamut there from Morgan's to mine to Steve-o's. So, there we are. Why not smell your own book and tell us about it? Or not. Whatever. Right, let's get into some of the stuff from 1993, some of our contextual stuff, and we'll start with music and my usual rundown of the top 10. And I've picked the week of 7th of July 1993, the date that the book was registered for copyright. I'm not going to make you guess anything. I shall just run down from 10 to 1 in the UK to start with and tell me what you think.
Cool.
So, make an appropriate noise. So, number 10, we've got All That She Wants by Ace of Base.
Marvellous.
It's all right, All That She Wants.
Yeah, a bit of Scandinavian cod reggae. Fantastic.
Yeah. Number 9, Two Princes by the Spin Doctors.
Oh, God.
Well, of its time.
Yeah,
Catchy.
certainly is.
Catchy.
It is catchy. I think it divides opinion quite a lot, that. So, number 8, we've got What's Up by Four Non-Blondes.
Oh, blimey.
I'll leave it at oh blimey for that one. Number 7, we've got One Night in Heaven by M People.
Oh, God.
One night.
That makes me think of Harry Hill, doesn't it? That's what it is.
One night.
M People. Number 6 is Rod Stewart with Have I Told You Lately? Yeah, we'll move on from that. Gloria Gaynor is at number 5. Can you guess what Gloria Gaynor song it is?
I can only assume that it was yet another reissue of I Will Survive, but
Yes, it was. It was I Will Survive 1993.
Yeah, she did survive 1993, hopefully.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Good. Don't want to make those kind of predictions, really. It's almost tempting fate.
Yeah. It's a brilliant disco song, but played to death. Number 4 is... Do you know what you were saying about cod reggae?
Oh, yeah.
It's I Can't Help Falling in Love with You by UB40.
Oh, what a year for songs that sound like someone's just pressed autoplay on the reggae setting of some Casio keyboard.
Yeah, I don't think you're far wrong on that being how it was made as well. Number 3, however, for more authenticity, we've got Tease Me by Shaka Demus and Pliers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dear. Yeah, number 2, What Is Love by Hadaway.
God.
That was a big hit, wasn't it?
Yeah. Couldn't escape that one.
And number 1, Dreams by Gabrielle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I try to think what's my favourite out of that list on there. It's not a great list for me, I must say.
Yeah.
It might be What Is Love by Hadaway, to be honest.
Oof. Yeah.
Might be. Anyway, let's see what was happening in America. It's a bit of a different sort of chart. So from 10 upwards, number 10, we've got Come Undone by Duran Duran.
Oh, yeah. I guess we just got that at a different time over here. It was a hit in the UK, I'm sure. Or maybe they just didn't make top 10.
Earlier or about the same time?
It'd be around the same time, I guess. They did have, I guess it was the same album that had Ordinary World on, which was like the big hit from that, I think.
Well, right, fair enough. I'll take your word for it. Number 9 is I'll Never Get Over You, Getting Over Me by Expose.
Not a clue.
No, me either. Number 8 is Dr. Dre with Dre Day.
I don't know that one either.
No. I mean, would that be relatively early in Dre's sort of fame?
Yes, he's just a couple of years out of NWA at that point, yeah. Dre Day, I wonder what day Dre Day is. we don't celebrate that way.
No, indeed. It's not a national holiday. Number 7 is Have I Told You Lately by Rod Stewart. Number 6 is Show Me Love by Rubin S. Nope.
No.
Number 5 is Knockin' Da Boots by H-Town.
I don't know that one either, but it sounds great.
Knocking Da Boots.
Da Boots.
I know, I don't like saying it out loud. That's how it's got Knockin' Da Boots by H-Town.
Sounds very saucy.
Number 4 is Can't Help Falling in Love by UB40. But here it says it's from Sliver.
That's right, yeah. I seem to recall the video had them playing on these surveillance cameras.
Oh, right, okay.
It being that, Sharon Stone starring erotic thriller.
That's it.
You have to say it in the manner of Paul Barron, otherwise it's...
Yes,
The erotic surveillance thriller.
Number 3 is Whoomp, there it is, by Tag Team.
Classic.
Yeah. Number 2 is That's the Way Love Goes by Janet Jackson.
Can't remember that one.
No,
I'd probably know it if I heard it. I don't know.
Number 1 is Weak by SWV.
I don't ever remember that one either.
No, it's a pretty unfamiliar American chart for us this time round, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Definitely more R&B than the sort of pop reggae that is prevailing in the UK, I think. Although they've got UB40 as well, I guess.
Yeah, they have to suffer as well. So yeah, I've not gone much into what's going on in terms of music, because we'll obviously put our picks together when we talk about it. But the one thing I did want to mention, because it's someone who's quite important to all of us, is of course it's the year that Frank Zappa passes away.
Yeah.
In December.
Oh yeah.
Despite that, it's not a year where he doesn't produce anything, because there's several albums out, isn't there, from...
Oh, he was absolutely just smashing albums out at the time. Yeah, I guess that you just had the Yellow Shark, wouldn't you? And Civilization Phase 3, I think he didn't come out quite then, but he'd finished it, so that comes out shortly afterwards. And then there were a lot of archival things as well.
Yeah, at least one of the Mothers albums comes out that year, I think.
Yeah, ahead of their time, I think. Had just come out not long since, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really know much about Zappa at the time, but I think you'd started getting into him then, hadn't you?
Yeah, I was pretty much like the full-on obsessive fandom by that stage, so I was absolutely devastated, as I'm sure you can imagine. But yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, 1993. Okay, so that's music. We'll come back to our album picks at the end. Let's go to the cinema for a look at some of the big films of 1993. Any thoughts on what might be in there?
Jurassic Park.
You're definitely right. Anything else?
The Fugitive.
The Fugitive, you're definitely right, yeah.
I saw Demolition Man was 1993. I don't know how successful that was.
Yeah, it wasn't one of the top 10 top grossing films anyway. But yeah, it was definitely 1993.
Was Sliver? Was that?
It wasn't one of the top rated ones anyway. No. Oh, well, I mean, the top three. So Jurassic Park was the number one. Quite rightly so. Phenomenal film. The Fugitive was number 3. The film in between at number 2, I like to think as the exact midpoint between The Fugitive and Jurassic Park, and that's Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, right, yeah.
So there you go. Anyway, number 4 was Schindler's List. Number 5 was The Firm. Number 6 is Indecent Proposal, so there's your super big thriller.
Mm-hmm.
7 was Cliffhanger. 8 was Sleepless in Seattle. 9 was Philadelphia. And number 10 was The Pelican Brief. That's a John Grisham, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Very 90s, aren't they, all those films?
Yeah,
very 90s. Okay, so I noted down 1 or 2 other films that came out that year, such epics as the Super Mario Brothers film.
Oh, yeah.
Which really has to be seen to be believed, although please don't watch it and blame me for how it makes you feel. Groundhog Day comes out in 1993.
Oh, yeah.
Splitting Hairs.
Eric Idle.
Eric Idle film. Coneheads.
Amazing.
Hulk Hogan's Mr. Nanny.
I was going to say, it must have been the time of Hulk Hogan's film career, yeah.
And Robin Hood, Men in Tights.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, I've got a little bit of TV to talk about as well, because there's a lot of stuff in the UK that was very important to me, of which I've got a couple to mention, and there's some other stuff that you just you'll remember. So, do we remember Jasper Carrot, Robert Powell, The Detectives?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
If anyone doesn't know who those actors are, well, they're more likely to know who Robert Powell is.
Yeah.
But The Detectives was a spin-off from a sketch segment on a stand-up comedian's show of 2 bungling detectives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely bungling.
Yes, lots of bungling going on. I seem to remember quite enjoying it, though. It was...
Yeah, I think it was just fairly daft and inoffensive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I liked it at the time.
Yeah, it didn't try and do too much sort of like direct parodying the genre, really. It's just sort of a character thing of these idiots. We have time-travelling philanderer Nicholas Lyndhurst in Goodnight Sweetheart.
Oh, yeah. Never really watched that, but I know it was very popular, wasn't it?
Yeah. I remember watching it all, but when you think about the concept behind it, it's absolutely atrocious.
I can't remember. Did they ever have any of the things that he... Because he just had no care at all about causing paradoxes.
No.
And things that cause trouble in time travel things normally, did he? He would just happily go back to the 40s and play Elton John songs. And were there ever any repercussions for him when he went back to the present day? I can't remember.
No, I can't remember either. I don't think they really took the time travel aspect of it seriously. The main focus was making sure this man could have an affair in the past.
Yeah, that was the main gist of it, wasn't it?
I mean, we were supposed to laugh and clap and go, oh, this is exciting. How good for him. I hope he gets together. It's like, what? That's horrible.
Yeah.
Stop sitting at the pub piano playing Beatles songs. It's not right. We have the TV adaptation of Sharp, begins in 1993.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoy those. They're really good.
Yeah, they're good, yeah, definitely.
I'd probably never read a Sharp book, but I really enjoy the TV series. And we have, for our American friends who will have loved the Golden Girls, as indeed did I at the time, we make the British version called the Brighton Bells.
Oh, God.
It immediately sounds rubbish, doesn't it? Before you even know the faintest thing about it.
So, Jean Boat from Bread, was she one of them?
Oh, she might have been. I haven't got that information to hand.
I vaguely remember it existing, and I remember reading that it was going to happen and thinking, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And lo, it was.
Indeed it was. It didn't last long, I don't think. Or it didn't leave much of a mark. But things that are very important to me in the year, but there's a series called Mr. Don and Mr. George, which is a very, very strange comedy spun off from a sketch show called Absolutely. But more importantly is The Smell of Reeves and Mortimer. So anyone who's listening to this might know that I am, as we all are, I think, a massive fan of Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer. And The Smell of Reeves and Mortimer is 2 series of absolute classic, weird variety comedy. It's it's wonderful. I could start talking about it and never stop, really. But I would say to anyone, if you want to get the measure of our sort of shared sense of humour, a lot of it's bound up in Vic and Bob, isn't it, really?
Certainly is, yeah.
Definitely.
So go and look up some Reeves and Mortimer. And in America, what have we got? Well, we have Animaniacs starts.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an absolutely brilliant cartoon. Very funny, even now. But there's lots of other things, such as Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, the most boring of the Star Treks. I don't know if I mean that. I never watched that terrible one with Scott Bakula in it. That was supposedly very boring, but yeah. DS9, a bit, I don't know. I must go back and watch it again at some point. We have Diagnosis Murder.
Crikey.
Which, if you'd have pressed me on that, I would have insisted was an 80s thing.
I would have probably placed it a good few years earlier than that, yeah.
But no. Diagnosis Murder, which often is put in the same slot as Quincy on ITV.
Always a poor replacement.
Yeah, very inferior. Very inferior. But I know it has
equally as preposterous.
Yeah, but no Jack Klugman, so what are you going to do?
Oh.
Just as Bert the Chimney Sweep doing crime solving and surgery. NYPD Blue starts, so that's obviously a significant cop show.
Why do they never repeat that? That hasn't been repeated for, I don't know, 20 years, I reckon.
Yeah, because that was quite a sort of cultural phenomenon at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good. I'd really love to rewatch that.
Yes, I'd quite like to watch it, because I don't think I ever saw any of it, really. And now,
I never watched all of it, but I've certainly watched a good chunk of it. And yeah, you never ever see it on.
No, I mean, there's all those channels now on TV that just do sort of those types of shows, but I've never seen it go past in the.
No, I'm all over those channels. I'd have spotted it if it was.
Well, let me know if you do come across it.
Yeah.
But you don't need to let me know if you come across Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Oh yeah. That always used to be on early on a Sunday morning, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it had some weird repeat times.
So if you woke up like at 7 o'clock or something, it was always like on. It was really boring. I'm sure there was something much better on after, but if you were awake a bit too early, you had to just sit through it.
I mean, there was always the option of just turning the TV off, but you just didn't, did you?
No,
you just
you
left
didn't.
it on.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a couple of things from the UK and the US there anyway to sum up our 1993, really. So I think it's time to get to our picks. And I'll tell you what, I'll go first, get mine out the way. My movie and music picks. And even as I'm speaking now and using extra words to fill in time while I try and actually finally settle on the things that I'm going to choose, because I've got a couple of options here, is, well, all right, for me, film, I'm going to come down on it. And it's another Studio Ghibli film, but it's My Neighbor Totoro.
Tremendous. Which
comes out in 1993 and is plainly and simply a kid's film, but it is an absolutely astonishing piece of art.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's like as very few films that do as good a job of creating that sense of that half asleep, half awake state of sort of imagination, I think. And obviously it's a very beautifully drawn and animated as well. So my choice is My Neighbor Totoro, which I just, how could you not love it? It's brilliant. And my pick for music is not going to be Paul McCartney's 1993 album Off the Ground, which I do love. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be Modern Life is Rubbish by Blur, which is probably still my favourite Blur album.
It's a corker.
Yeah, I think it definitely is. It's great. It's got songs like Chemical World on it, which are just absolutely storming. It is what I will go back to time and time again and listen to. And there's lots to be said for all the different Blur albums, more or less. But I think Modern Life is Rubbish is by far my favourite. And I wish I'd heard it at the time. I sort of had to go back and listen to Blur stuff later after they got bigger, which I'm willing to admit. Yeah, I came on board after the big flush of, the Great Escape album, but I did go back. I, paid my dues. Okay, right. I'm going to go to Morgan then and see what his film and music choices are.
Okie doke. Well, film-wise, I am going to go for Dazed and Confused.
Okay, yes.
The Richard Linklater movie, just basically following a bunch of sort of kids in 1976 on the last day of well, hang on a minute, it's following a bunch of kids just on this one day in school. So there's the young kids being hazed who are going to go up to the to the next school. There's Matthew McConaughey is the sort of aging ex-football star who's still creepily hanging around trying to hit on high school girls. There's a party that keeps almost happening and then doesn't quite happen, but then happens somewhere else. So one of these films like American Graffiti, in a way where there's not really any kind of major overriding plot. It's just sort of captures an era and captures just sort of a moment in time for all these different characters. And it's just really beautifully done. Great ensemble cast, including Ben Affleck in definitely his best ever role as the sort of meathead jock who ends up getting his comeuppance quite hilariously.
Yeah, it's a brilliant film. And I think that comparison to American Graffiti is right. It's that sort of, it's sort of everything and nothing, isn't it? It's a watershed moment for the characters, but to everyone else, it's just a day in the life. It's just another day.
Yeah, I've just always loved it, and one of those films I can watch any number of times and just never get tired of it.
Yeah, it's great.
So that was my film choice, and then music-wise, I thought, particularly given the novel we've been looking at looks at a sort of again a hardcore hip hop collective. I thought it was only right that I went for the debut album by the Wu-Tang Clan, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. Which is one of the very best hip-hop records ever made. It's absolutely astonishing. Just 9 extremely talented MCs all together in one group, and a great producer just making this incredible music with really cheap gear. Coming right in at the sort of end of the golden age of sampling before people wised up and started really clamping down on that. There's just this really rich kind of tapestry of classic kind of obscure bits of soul and jazz and everything just kind of mashed up into this grimy, distorted mess. It's just with samples of old kung fu movies all over the top. It's an amazing record.
Excellent pick, and yes, very relevant to the book we were reading as well. Right, so let us go to Steve-O and hear what he has chosen.
Hello. I'm also picking Dazed and Confused actually because
double pick.
Yes, yeah. By far and away the best film of that year, I would say. It's an absolutely brilliant film for when you just can't be bothered watching anything that has any plot whatsoever. Seeing Ben Affleck get covered in paint and
marvellous.
Yeah, he's great. And when they drive off at the end, don't they, to go and get their Aerosmith tickets in Houston? It's great. A very funny film, and lots happen at the same time. The guy who guests in Friends when he gets beaten up at that party in the park, when he stands up to the bully guys, great scene as well. Like lots of people who don't ordinarily get along suddenly start getting along, don't they? Because they finish school and they're not constrained by who they're supposed to hang out with and who they're not.
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons that film's great to watch for us is that it feels totally foreign, despite the fact it's America and it's the English language and it's school. We know what going from one school to another's like, but it's like nothing like we had.
Yeah, it's a whole other experience, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, that makes it a sort of fascinating other culture thing that a lot of those American films, teen films, have that we don't have.
Yeah, so that's my film choice. And then my music choice, very uncool, I suppose, but I'm going to go for a real live one by Iron Maiden, which is a great... one of half a pair of live albums that they released that year, which I had at the time and I thought was fantastic. It was like their latter era, live stuff. I think pretty much to coincide with Bruce Dickinson leaving really to herald his last tour with them. I think at the time.
Does that be the Fear of the Dark tour?
It would have been, yeah. And it had an amazing pull-outs. I had it on cassette. It had the big family tree that obviously being a cassette, folded up into a piece of paper the size of a large stamp, and then you unfolded it by about 10 dimensions, and this thing was there. Yeah, so yes. So I'm going for that.
That's an excellent pick, yes. That's great. I can't believe no one picked the film Coneheads.
I've never seen it.
Oh, I think I've seen it once. I don't remember it being Dan Aykroyd's finest hour. Not his worst, certainly, but not. And yeah. Right. Anyway, well, just before we go, I want to say, in the time between the last book and this book, I've read a couple of other Ed McBain's, or rather, I've read Tomorrow's World, also known as Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which was one of his early sci-fi books, and I've read an Evan Hunter novel called Far from the Sea. And so my quick book reports on them for everyone is Tomorrow and Tomorrow is... You know how sometimes McBain likes writing about boobs?
Yeah.
Well, because this is a sci-fi book, he's basically created an entire society in which you can just basically have people with their boobs out permanently. But the clever twist is they don't care because they're called Vikes, which is short for vicarious, and they just take drugs and they don't live through the sensual flesh anymore. They just, they live vicariously through media, and they're against the normal people, and it's all about, it's good sci-fi concept, mainly boobs mentioned. Okay, so that was that. And Far from the Sea is a sort of, again, it's semi-autobiographical about someone going to visit their dying father. It was written just after this basically happened to Evan Hunter. Again, it addresses infidelity, has a little bit of sex stuff in it, but actually out of all of those sorts of the Evan Hunter books, the ones that are semi-autobiographical, it's actually really good. It was quite a quick read. It's not as dense as Streets of Gold, but yeah, it was. I don't know if enjoyed is the right word given the subject matter, but it was worth a read. Yeah, and I think it did fill in some gaps in my sort of autobiographical approach to the man. Anyway,
cool.
So there you go. I read a couple of those, and I've got a couple more I'll probably read in the next month as well. once I get through this bloody Neil Stevenson I decided to read because of you mentioning it last time, Morgan. And I'm reading The Diamond Age.
Oh, amazing.
Which is quite intense.
Yes.
Anyway.
That's the first one I read, I think. I might have to give it another go at some point. It's been a while.
Yes. Anything on your book, on your side tables for reading in bed at the moment, folks?
Not from me. I haven't read anything for ages, so yeah, I'm afraid not.
No, fair enough.
Apart from Mischief by Ed McBain.
I most recently read, the most recent book I finished was I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou.
Oh, right. I did that at A-level, I think.
Ah, cool. I'd never read any of her stuff before, but yeah, I thought it was absolutely fantastic, obviously.
Yeah, that stuck with me. There's little passages of descriptive stuff in that have stuck with me from then till now.
Just yeah, fantastic sentences. And really just great sense of humour as well. Like the humour of it, I think is incredible, particularly given how sort of hard hitting and kind of brutal quite a lot of the subject matter is.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a pretty remarkable book. And then sort of in between, before that and then now, I've been reading a bit more of Frederick Pohl's Hichi saga, this series of sci-fi novels that started with Gateway, which is fantastic, and then I think they get rather more pulpy as they go along, but I am enjoying them. So read Beyond the Blue Event Horizon, which is the second one, and then I'm about halfway through Hichi Rendezvous now, which is very entertaining.
Good old sci-fi. It's probably not got enough boobs in it for McBain's liking. Okay, right. Well, we will be back with the next book in the series and our thoughts about... Well, actually, the next book's from 1995. We skip a year. Did we do 94 picks for when we did the Christmas one? I can't remember. I don't know. We'll see.
I think maybe we did.
I seemed. I think we did.
Okay, well, we'll be picking our choices for 1995 next time when we're looking at book 47, which is romance. So until then, I am signing off with a carefree adieu, and Steve-O.
Au revoir.
And Morgan.
Fairly well.
In French.
In French.
Bye.